Hello and welcome to the Real English channel. I am so glad you've decided to join us today for this special deep dive into the world of business English. If you are looking to sharpen your communication skills and sound more like a seasoned professional, you are in exactly the right place. Before we jump into the meat of today's topic, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep these lessons coming. And if you find this helpful, we'd love for you to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments section.
I'm incredibly excited about today's episode because we aren't just talking about grammar or basic vocabulary. We're exploring the precision and subtlety that sets senior leaders apart in international corporate settings. It's fascinating because in a high-stakes meeting, the words you choose act as your primary tool for building credibility and navigating really sensitive situations.
It's so true. It's not just about being understood anymore, is it? It's about how you frame your ideas. I was reading through some materials from Babbel, and they mentioned that for professionals at a senior level, it's really the precision of the language that makes the difference. It's the difference between saying, "I think we should change this," and saying, "In light of recent developments, it would be prudent to revisit our strategy."
Exactly, and that word prudent is such a powerhouse. It doesn't just mean wise. It suggests a cautious, risk-aware approach that resonates deeply in a boardroom. We're going to look at phrases that help you take ownership of tasks, set priorities without sounding like a dictator, and even how to disagree with someone so politely they barely realize you've countered their point.
I love that. And we're also going to touch on something a lot of people struggle with: introductions. Did you know that according to some surveys, about 80% of people admit to suffering from imposter syndrome to some extent? That feeling that you aren't quite good enough for the role you're in. We're going to talk about how to manage that vulnerability through self-soothing techniques, so you can stand up in that meeting and introduce yourself with real authority.
It's all about building that practical playbook you can use the next time you step into the office or open your laptop for a Zoom call. We'll even get into the data behind email sign-offs, like why saying thanks in advance can actually boost your response rate to over 65%.
That is a wild statistic. It really shows how much psychology is baked into our professional interactions. So if you're ready to move from just getting by to leading the conversation, let's dive into how we actually set the stage for a productive business meeting.
You know, the most productive meetings don't actually start when everyone sits down. They start with how you prepare people beforehand. If you're the one calling the meeting, you want to set the right tone from the very first email notification.
Right, because if people show up not knowing why they're there, you've already lost half the battle. I noticed in the Preply materials they suggest using very specific phrases like, "Please review the agenda beforehand so we can get started right away." It's a polite way of saying don't waste our time.
It really is. And once you're actually in the room or the virtual room, how you open the meeting determines the energy for the rest of the hour. Instead of just saying hi, a strong leader might say, "I appreciate everyone being here on time." Or, "Since everyone is here, let's get started."
I like that "let's get started" phrase. It's simple, but it's a clear signal that the social chatter is over and the work has begun. But what if people don't know each other? I've been in meetings where the introductions felt so awkward. Everyone just kind of mumbles their name and looks at their shoes.
That's where the introductory framework comes in. A great way to facilitate this is to say, "Let's go around the table and share our names and job titles." It gives everyone a clear script to follow. Or, if you want to break the ice, you can say, "Just so that we can put faces to names, let's quickly share."
It's interesting how those little phrases remove the friction. It's like you're giving people permission to speak. But Eli, what about the person doing the introduction? We mentioned that imposter syndrome earlier, that feeling that everyone is judging you while you speak.
It's a real challenge because you're essentially being thrown into a mini public speaking gig without a warm-up. One strategy that Daniel Kingsley suggests is a 3-part formula. Say hello and your name, state your job title, and then this is the crucial part, explain what that means for the people in the room.
Oh, so instead of just saying, "I'm the IT guy," you'd say, "I'm the information systems controller," which means if you have any issues with your software or hardware, my team and I are the ones who make sure you can get back to work quickly.
Exactly! You're framing your role as a solution to their problems. It makes you feel more valuable and helps the audience see exactly why you're there. And to handle the nerves, you can use that self-soothing method. Basically having an internal dialogue where you acknowledge your anxiety, but reassure yourself that you've practiced and you know your stuff.
It's like being your own coach. I hear that you're nervous because you want to make a good impression. That makes total sense, but you're good at your job and you've got this.
It sounds a bit funny to talk to yourself like that, but it really calms the freak out part of the brain.
It's a game changer. And once the introductions are out of the way, you have to anchor the meeting with a clear objective. You might say, the purpose of this meeting is to, or here's our goal for today. We need to confirm the launch date. When you state the goal clearly, it's much harder for the conversation to drift into irrelevant territory.
Which is a perfect segue into how we actually manage the discussion once it's moving. It's one thing to start a meeting. It's another thing entirely to keep it on the rails.
This is where things get real. Meetings rarely go exactly as planned. Someone might bring up a topic that has nothing to do with the agenda, or two people might start arguing over a timeline. As a professional, you need phrases that act like a steering wheel.
I've definitely been in those meetings that feel like a runaway train. One phrase I saw in the Babel list that I think is so elegant is "in light of." Like, if someone brings up a new problem, you could say, "In light of these recent market changes, we should revisit our projections." It sounds so much more professional than saying, "Because this happened, we have to change the plan."
It links the decision to external factors, which makes it feel less like a personal whim and more like a reasoned response. Another great one for keeping focus is, "That's out of scope."
Oh, I love that one. It's so polite but firm. Good point, but that's out of scope for this phase. Let's focus on the dashboard first. It's basically saying, "Not now," without being rude.
And if the conversation is getting bogged down in a detail that isn't ready for a decision yet, you can use the phrase, "Let's park that." It's like putting a topic in a temporary parking lot so you can keep moving forward. You might say, "Let's park that for now and wait until finance confirms the margins."
It's a great way to respect the person who brought it up while still maintaining the momentum. But what about when you actually have to disagree with someone? That's where it gets really tricky. You don't want to shut them down and create tension.
This is where the "I see where you're coming from, but" framework is a lifesaver. It acknowledges their perspective before you offer a counterpoint. For example, "I see where you're coming from regarding the extra office days, but a lot of the team has long commutes."
It's all about validation first. I also noticed a more formal version of that in the Preply list. That's an interesting proposition. Do you see any alternatives? It puts the ball back in their court and encourages them to think critically rather than just getting defensive.
Exactly. And if you're the one presenting an idea and you want to make sure everyone is actually following you, you can say, "I just want to make sure we're all on the same page." It's a quick check-in to ensure there's no lingering confusion before you move to the next point.
Or even just a quick check. Did the shipment go out yesterday? It's less formal, but it's a very common way to confirm a specific detail without making a big deal out of it.
What's fascinating is how these phrases help you take the floor or hand it over to someone else. If you want to hear from a colleague, you can say, "I'd like to turn it over to name, who is going to talk more about the research." It's a smooth transition that keeps the energy moving around the room.
It makes the meeting feel collaborative rather than just one person talking at everyone. And speaking of collaboration, we have to talk about accountability. How do you make sure things actually get done after the meeting is over?
This is the taking ownership phase. In a meeting, people often say, "We should do this," or "Someone should look into that." But someone usually means no one.
That is the ultimate corporate pitfall, isn't it? Everything is we until it's time to actually do the work.
Exactly. So a powerful question to ask is, can you take ownership of this? It's a direct request for responsibility. We're missing the numbers for the report. Can you take ownership of following up with finance to make sure we get them by tomorrow?
It's a lot more effective than just saying, "Can you do this?" Because taking ownership implies that they are responsible for the outcome, not just the task. It sounds more professional and high level.
It really does. And if you're the one suggesting a specific course of action, you can frame it as a matter of priority. The recruitment of a compliance officer should be addressed as a matter of priority. It sets the urgency without you having to sound bossy or overly directive.
I also like the phrase "in the interests of" to frame a decision as being for the good of the group. Like, in the interests of transparency, the findings will be shared with all stakeholders. It makes the action feel principled rather than arbitrary.
It's very persuasive because it's hard to argue with something that is in the interests of the team or the client. Another one for presenting a reasoned conclusion is "on balance." You might say, "On balance, outsourcing may be more cost-effective than hiring in-house."
It shows you've weighed the pros and cons. It's not just a gut feeling, it's a balanced perspective. It's interesting how many of these phrases are about building that sense of reasonableness and caution.
Like, "It would be prudent to." It would be prudent to pilot the scheme before a full rollout. It's such a sophisticated way of saying, "Let's not rush into this and mess it up."
But what happens when you need to be very, very clear? Like when you're dealing with a contract or a policy change where there's no room for maybe.
That's when you use "for the avoidance of doubt." For the avoidance of doubt, the revised policy applies to all contractors. It's a phrase used to make something completely unambiguous. No one can say they didn't understand.
It's a very legal-sounding phrase, but it's used all the time in corporate settings to prevent future arguments. And if a change is happening right this second, you use "with immediate effect." The revised reporting process applies with immediate effect.
It's formal, it's clear, and it's very authoritative. These are the tools of leadership. But as we transition from talking to writing, specifically emails, some of these rules change a little bit. The way you end an email, for example, can have a massive impact on whether people actually do what you've asked them to do.
This is where that 65% response rate statistic comes back into play. I think most of us just slap a "best" or "regards" at the end of an email without thinking, but the research shows that gratitude-based sign-offs are way more effective.
It's such a simple tweak. According to that Boomerang study of over 350,000 email threads, "thanks in advance" had a response rate of 65.7%. Compare that to just "best," which was down at 51.2%.
Wow, that's a huge difference. Why do you think that is?
I think it's psychological. When you thank someone in advance, you're subtly assuming they're going to help you, and people naturally want to live up to that positive expectation. It's less of a demand and more of an expression of appreciation.
Not makes sense. But an email ending isn't just the sign-off. It's also the closing phrase that tells the reader what happens next. You don't want to leave them guessing.
Exactly. A good closing phrase should restate the purpose of the email and give a clear call to action. For example, "could you send over the updated numbers by Thursday? I'd like to include them in the Friday report. Let me know if that timeline works for you."
It's so much better than just saying, "let me know what you think." It gives them a deadline and a reason for that deadline. And for more formal situations, like emailing a professor or a high-level executive, you'd want to use something like "sincerely" or "best regards."
And don't forget the signature. Think of it as your digital business card. It should have your name, title, phone number, and maybe a link to your LinkedIn profile. If you're a student, including your university and expected graduation year is really helpful for context.
I've seen some signatures that are like 5 paragraphs long with motivational quotes and giant images. That's a bit much, right?
Yeah, the advice there is to keep it scannable. You want people to find your contact info at a glance, not scroll through your favorite inspirational sayings. And definitely avoid overly casual sign-offs like "peace out" or "XO" in a professional setting.
Or just a single emoji. Peace out.
Definitely not. It can make you look careless or way too familiar. You want to match the tone of your sign-off to the tone of your email. If you've written a very serious, formal message, ending it with "cheers" is going to feel really disjointed.
It's all about consistency. And speaking of consistency, let's look at how we wrap up a meeting. How do we take all those discussions and turn them into action?
The end of a meeting is just as important as the beginning. You want people to walk away with a clear understanding of what was decided. You can signal this by saying, "To summarize, we've discussed," or "Before we finish, let's recap our main points."
I like the "in a nutshell" approach. In a nutshell, we've decided to move forward with the pilot program, and Jane is taking ownership of the budget proposal. It's punchy and memorable.
And if the meeting is running long and everyone is getting tired, it's actually a sign of leadership to pause the conversation. You could say, "As much as I'd like to keep this discussion going, I want to respect everyone's time, so let's pause there for now."
That's such a relief to hear in a meeting that's gone over by 15 minutes. It shows you're organized and mindful of other people's schedules. And then there's the final goodbye phrases, like "thank you for being so productive," or "since we finished our agenda items, everyone is free to go."
It's a nice way to end on a high note, but the work doesn't stop when you leave the room. It may be that you need to send a follow-up communication after the meeting. You might send an email saying, "Thanks again to everyone who attended. Given what we discussed, I wanted to touch base about..."
It keeps the momentum going. It's interesting how many of these business English skills are actually just good communication skills. Being clear, being respectful, and being proactive.
It really is. And one phrase I find myself using a lot to transition from the talking stage to the doing stage is "taking this forward." Taking this forward, we will consult with regional managers before finalizing the proposal. It shows that the meeting wasn't just a talk shop, it's the start of an action.
Taking this forward, I'm going to start using that. It sounds so much more dynamic than just, next we will.
It has a sense of movement to it. And for anything that needs to be remembered for later, you can say, for future reference, please ensure all proposals are submitted 2 weeks in advance. It's a polite way of giving feedback for next time.
It's much softer than you were late with the proposal this time, don't do it again. For future reference, frames it as a helpful tip for the future.
Exactly. So we've covered opening a meeting, managing the discussion, persuading others, ending emails, and wrapping up the session. It's a lot to take in. So let's move into a practical playbook to help our listeners actually start using this tomorrow.
Okay, let's turn all these insights into a concrete plan. If I'm a listener and I have a big meeting tomorrow, what's my first move?
Your first move happens before the meeting. Send out that agenda and use the phrase, please review the agenda beforehand so we can get started right away. It sets the expectation of productivity.
And then when I actually walk into the room or log into the call, how do I start?
Use a clear opening phrase like, let's get started, or here's our goal for today. If you need to introduce yourself, remember the formula: name, job title, and most importantly, how you can help the people in that room.
And if I'm feeling those imposter syndrome nerves?
Try that self-soothing technique we talked about. Acknowledge the feeling, validate why it's there, and then give yourself some realistic reassurance. I know I'm nervous because this is a big client, but I've done the research and I'm ready.
I love that. Now, what about during the meeting when things get a little chaotic?
That's when you reach for your steering phrases. If a topic is irrelevant, it's out of scope. If you need to come back to something later, you park it. And if you need to disagree, always start with, I see where you're coming from, but.
And don't forget the ownership piece. Instead of leaving tasks hanging, ask, can you take ownership of this?
Exactly. And when you're writing that follow-up email afterward, remember the thanks in advance trick to boost your response rate. Make sure you have a clear call to action and a scannable signature.
One common pitfall I noticed in the materials is overusing these phrases. Babbel mentioned that advanced phrases have more impact when used sparingly. You don't want to sound like a corporate robot.
That's a really important distinction. Use them when they add precision or help navigate a sensitive moment. Don't just pepper them into every sentence. The goal is to sound professional and clear, not overly formal for the sake of it.
And consider your audience. If you're talking to your internal team that you've known for years, you might be a bit more casual than if you're presenting to the board of directors.
Right, you adapt your tone to the level of formality required. But even in formal settings, try to be conversational and easy to understand. There's always another person behind the screen or across the table from you.
It's about being human, just a very professional version of human. So for everyone listening, your homework for tomorrow is to pick just one of these phrases and use it in a real interaction. Maybe it's in light of, or let's park that. Just try one and see how it changes the dynamic.
It's fascinating how much culture and language overlap in business. We even looked at how to end an email in Spanish, which has its own set of rules, like using atentamente for formal messages or un abrazo for friends and close colleagues.
It really highlights that professional communication is about respecting norms, whether those are linguistic norms or corporate ones. In Spanish, for example, it's often considered rude to jump straight into business without a brief personal greeting.
That's a great point. It's the same in English. Even if you're being formal, a quick "Thank you for taking the time to attend today" goes a long way in building rapport. It acknowledges the other person's effort.
And that rapport is what makes the difficult conversations, like, I'm not comfortable with that timeline, so much easier to have. When you've built a foundation of respect, you can push back without it feeling like a personal attack.
I'm not comfortable with that timeline is such a great phrase because it's honest but professional. It's not saying no, it's saying we need to talk about what is realistic.
Which leads to, let's be realistic about what we can deliver. It's about setting expectations early so you don't end up breaking things or missing deadlines later. It's much better to say, the export tool still has bugs, so let's release the dashboard first, than to overpromise and underdeliver.
That's the hallmark of a true professional, knowing your limits and communicating them clearly. It's what Babbel calls the real language of leadership. It's not about being perfect, it's about being precise.
I think that's a perfect way to look at it. We aren't aiming for a perfect performance. We're aiming for precision and clarity.
And as you use these phrases more often, they'll start to feel more natural. You won't have to think about using "in light of." It will just become part of how you process information and share it with others.
It's like building a muscle. The first few times you use a new phrase, it might feel a little bit like you're wearing a suit that's a size too big, but eventually it will fit perfectly.
One of the best tips for mastering this is something Daniel Kingsley suggested. Actually practice your introductions and your key phrases before you need them.
He even suggests videoing yourself on your phone and watching it back. That sounds terrifying, but I can see why it would be effective.
It's the best way to see how you're actually coming across. Are you speaking too fast? Are you making eye contact? Most people deliver their introductions way too quickly because they're nervous and just want it to be over.
Slow down is such simple advice, but it makes you look so much more confident in the eyes of others. Taking your space and your time shows that you believe what you have to say is worth hearing.
And try to make eye contact with 3 or 4 people for a few seconds each during your introduction. It creates a connection, and interestingly enough, it can actually help calm you down because it makes the audience feel like a group of individuals rather than a judging mass.
It's about seeing and allowing yourself to be seen. That's a powerful concept. When you stop trying to hide your nerves and just focus on connecting and being clear, the quality of your communication goes through the roof.
And remember that everyone else in that room is probably feeling a little bit of that same vulnerability. 80% of people have felt that imposter syndrome. You aren't alone in feeling like you might get found out.
That's actually really reassuring. If everyone is a little bit nervous, then there's no reason for me to be extra worried about it. We're all just trying to do a good job and communicate effectively.
Exactly. So as we wrap things up today, I want to encourage everyone to look at their professional communication as an ongoing project. You don't have to master all 96 meeting phrases tonight. Just start with 1 or 2.
Like subject to approval or as a matter of priority. Or maybe just changing your email sign-off to thanks in advance and seeing if your response rate actually goes up.
It's all about those small, intentional changes that add up over time to a very different professional image.
We have covered so much ground today, from the specific language of senior leadership to the psychology of email response rates. It's clear that business English is about so much more than just words for work. It's a toolkit for building trust, showing respect, and leading with confidence.
It really is. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that precision in language leads to precision in action. When we use phrases like, for the avoidance of doubt, or can you take ownership of this, we are removing the gray areas where projects often go to die.
And we're also managing our own internal state, using techniques like self-soothing to handle the vulnerability of public speaking and introductions. It's a holistic approach to being a professional.
I'd love for our listeners to take a moment and reflect on one situation they've had recently, maybe a meeting that didn't go quite right, or an email that went unanswered, and think about which of these phrases might have changed the outcome.
That's a great exercise. Was there a moment where you could have parked a distracting topic? Or a place where I see where you're coming from could have smoothed over a disagreement?
The goal isn't to be a perfect communicator every single time. As we saw, even real meetings rarely go exactly as planned. People are late, agendas drift, and deadlines change. What matters is how you handle those moments.
With the right phrases, you can guide the conversation, push back politely, and wrap things up with real confidence. You sound more like the professional you already are.
I think that's the perfect place to leave it. You already have the expertise. These phrases just help you represent that expertise to the world with more clarity.
Thank you all so much for joining us on the Real English channel today. It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a comment about which phrase you're going to try out first. We love hearing from you. Until next time, take these ideas forward and see what a difference they make in your professional life.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Happy communicating.